Okay, so when people talk about free media and freedom of speech in a pluralistic democratic society, I mean, here's a clear example where if you're not given information, you don't even know what the dangers are, the health dangers are. That's why it's really important to have free media. And in the middle of this, you have some 80 staff members in your country from Index, the so-called free social media site, news site, who walked out, who said they couldn't report. It's concerning.
Yes, it's very concerning, and Index was really the most important independent news portal that had the highest number of daily readers in the country. It was really an institution on its own, and it was clear for the past some years that the government tried to gain influence in the editorial board of Index, also in the governing structures behind the portal. And just a few days ago, due to the pressure and the influence coming from outside, the editor-in-chief resigned, and as a protest, the entire editorial board walked out as well. Now, we are in the middle of the pandemic. The entire job situation is, of course, very shaky, particularly if you work in media in Hungary. So I think it's very hard to understate the importance of 70, 80 people with families, mortgages, loans, and an uncertain future just standing up and walking out because they don't want to work in a media that is influenced by Orban. They want to have a free voice, and I think the whole Hungarian society really has to support this endeavor.
I mean, Viktor Orban already has an iron grip for the last decade on Hungary and power in Hungary. What does he care about Index?
Well, Index is a portal that's being read by 1 million people daily. Well, we have 10 million people in total. So this is really the most influential news portal we have in the country. So this is literally the hallmark of independent news reporting. As Mr. Orban cannibalized the public media, many say that now Index is something like the BBC for the UK, for instance. So this is the site everybody opens in the morning when they wake up, even the conservatives, even the Fidesz voters. So this is where people get their news from, the main source of news. So it is really something like the last resistance against this enormous pressure Fidesz has been applying. And if Index falls, then it is really a huge blow to our entire country, and I suppose for everybody in the world who believes in free and fair media and checks and balances and the possibility to report on power.
The last resistance. What is the resistance against?
Hungary has been governed by Mr. Orban for the past 10 years with a supermajority. And during this time, according to Freedom House, Hungary ceased to be a democracy. Now we are a hybrid autocracy. The conservative populist government of Mr. Orban has been systematically doing away with checks and balances, with the independence of the judiciary, with the freedom of the media. Mr. Orban has expelled the Central European University from Budapest because he didn't agree with the views that were taught there. It is an American university that had a campus in Hungary, and now they are out of the country. It's been an extremely damaging time for the soul of our country, for the democracy of our country, and of course media and the possibility to report and the possibility to share information is really the hallmark of the possibility of change. And if we even stop having these independent institutions, then it's really a huge problem. A lot of news portals were closed down for the past years. Very influential papers, printed papers, big papers, that has been existing for 100 years now. They are not functioning anymore. And Index is really something of the greatest magnitude for this country. so many people read it, so many people rely on it. It's a very well respected journal, even abroad, and it's really a huge loss that the government is trying to buy influence also there.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you'll correct me because you're not timid about these things. I was a reporter based in Moscow for American television. This seems cookie cutter. This seems what President Putin did when he came to power in the year 2000, cut down the newspapers, take over the ownership of any free or critical media. Not all of it was necessarily free. Some of it was pulled in different political directions. Some of it was black media, they used to say. But, take control of that. And then you have free reign to absolutely control people's perceptions and the debate, because you will program the television stations, the radio stations, the newspapers every night with your message, from the prime minister's office. And then we're hearing about it in Poland, and then we're hearing about it in Hungary. So, people have learned from a very bad example.
Yes, indeed, and Mr. Orban has been in a close friendship with Mr. Putin for the past decade, and this is not the first law that he's been adopting from Mr. Putin's governance style. For instance, a very controversial law that branded NGOs as foreign agents is also something like the brainchild of Mr. Putin, and something that has been
Absolutely.
happening in Russia also. And a few years ago, Mr. Orban also pushed through a law that victimized civil society just based on the example of Mr. Putin. And really, the importance of gaining control over the media is really hard to be understated. All the local papers that people read in the greatest numbers in the countryside are being exclusively controlled by cronies close to Fidesz. The majority of the big news channels, the public media, which has been used for propaganda purposes.
It sounds like a campaign to have Viktor Orban prime minister for life, as Putin is president for life in Russia.
Yes, well, Mr. Orban stated that he has plans for 20 more years of governing, but I believe that this is now really the time for the next elections in 22 that the Hungarian people just like raise their voice and we go to vote in large numbers and we do away with this authoritarian leadership that has been in power for the last 10 years. Because I feel that there is anger and resentment boiling in the country, and we have to channel it in votes, in turnout, and in proper real change.
You were a member of a political
party.
You were a member of a political party. You ran
I am, yes.
for office in Hungary, and then you closed down your political party, or?
No.
You still have the political party?
Yes, sure. Yes, I'm a founding member of Momentum, which is the youngest political party in Hungary.
Why couldn't you get elected? You didn't even get one seat, did you?
Well, yes. The first election we ran at was a little bit a year after our party was founded, and then we got 3%, which was indeed not enough for getting a seat in the parliament. But just a year after, we had a very good result at the European Parliament, where we gained over 9%, which made us one of the strongest opposition parties. And a few months ago at the local elections, we elected hundreds of councillors, a lot of mayors all over the country. So the party is growing, and now we are
Is it a free and fair election?
It's election that I would not say that it's free and fair, but there is a possibility of winning for both sides, as it was demonstrated last October in the local elections, when the opposition gained control over Budapest and over a lot of large cities all over the country.
Caitlin, you're a member of European Parliament. My understanding is that being part of the EU isn't just about an economic deal. It's about the values, which include free speech and free media and democracy, why has the EU failed to really put Viktor Orban in his place and tell him hands off the press, hands off the media there? What you're doing does not in any way align itself with the values of the European Union. Why have they failed to do that?
Well, what you are saying is exactly what the European Parliament wants, that we should be tying EU money to the respect of EU values. We should make a clear line, a clear distinction between what is possible to be done in a community of values and what not. When a country joins the European Union, they have to sign up for a number of criteria based on the rule of law, about the freedoms, the media, the governance, and it's very important that even after somebody is a member, somebody has become a member, they really have to adhere to the same standards as before.
And so why is it not happening? I mean, why is the EU not enforcing the rules that they ask members to sign?
The EU has very weak capacities right now to do so. As we are discussing the budget deal of the next 7 years, a lot of institutions, including the European Parliament, want a clear rule of law guarantee when it comes to distributing public finances to governments. And of course, negotiations are still ongoing, but I believe that this is really something at the heart of Europe and of core importance for our entire community to have everybody respect our common values.
You didn't answer the question, really.
Yes, well, right now,
the EU says, when you sign up, you have to share the common values. And then as you're getting, especially during COVID-19, where there's a major bailout by the European Union to countries, that they have to qualify for that bailout. I mean, they have to be part of the EU. They have to share the same common values. You're telling me that Viktor Orban does not. He's shutting down the last remaining free press site in Hungary. Why didn't the EU say, no way, you cannot be part of the EU if you're going to behave like this?
Yeah, so I've been also asking this question a lot to my fellow colleagues, and basically the answer is that the current treaties of the European Union tie every decision that is of this magnitude to a unanimous decision between countries. We barely have systems in place that could be useful in the case of systemic deviations, because we have very good mechanisms for when one country breaches one standard or the other, but actually the European Union wasn't prepared for a systemic democratic backsliding within its own community. And right now we are witnessing this in 2 countries, in Hungary and in Poland, and it's very important to install these kind of mechanisms. For instance, compulsory European prosecutor's office to have control over European public finances, and also systematic rule of law monitoring systems, so that we can safeguard our values in our entire community. But this is something we have to do now, and this is what the European Parliament has been fighting for.
It's interesting, right, and ironic that Viktor Orban's main appeal to the public is that he's improved the finances of the country, the economy. And really the way he did that was becoming a member of the European Union, and now he's flouting the very rules of the European Union that he's used to improve the economy of Hungary.
Yes, indeed, and this is this hypocrisy we have to be doing away with. So criticizing the EU has been one of the hallmarks of Mr. Orban's governance. He has been claiming for a long time that the EU is an evil conspiratory powers to try to do away with the conservative governance of Hungary. They are enemies of the Hungarian people and all that. And in the same time, they have been profiting from EU money, which has been spent without appropriate oversight to a small circle of cronies very often. And this is why it is so important that the EU can project its values in its economic policies as well, so that everybody who spends our money also has to respect our values as well.
Caitlin Czech, a member of the European Parliament for Hungary, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.